All right, back with you. It's the Dave Elswick Show. Good to have you here. We're sitting. Oh my God, Senator Cotton.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Senator.
Senator, how are you?
I'm
good.
good.
To see you.
That's why I moved over.
That's why you moved over. I'm asking, where are you going? And I'm just talking about their bromance.
It's a trick that your producers played on you. We're here for your 50th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
When my staff told me earlier that we're coming by to celebrate it as a surprise to you, at first I looked at the note and I thought it said 50th birthday.
No.
I said, this must be a practical joke.
But then I looked in my rear view mirror.
I looked at it again and it said 50th anniversary. So congratulations on 50 years on the radio.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of an achievement, I guess. I lived long enough to do
When
it.
When was your first radio gig?
16 years old, and I was doing high school football for WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. That's how I got it underway. Really, the way I started was emptying out trash cans and cleaning toilets. But they said, can you keep score stats? And I said, yeah. So they started with that, and then they started asking me to read them on the air, and then they said, you're not too bad at this. So the rest is history.
Congratulations. That is great. I mean, that's, it's a very rare story. I mean, it's not a totally unique story. I think Rush Limbaugh probably started about that age as well.
He started real early,
but,
too.
At the time, the golden age of radio, guys like you when you were teenagers got your shot at local radio and still carry on 50 years later.
Yeah, and still doing it and liking it and enjoying it. Enjoy coming to work every day. And next year, I'm really excited because it'd be my 20th year in this market. That is unique.
That is unique.
To move into a market, and especially to be a northerner and to come to the South and just become a damn Yankee.
So how many
that's
times have you been on the air with Dave before you had to go off to D.C.?
Couple dozen, probably.
Yeah.
Over the years?
Over the years.
I remember having him on when he was running the first time.
I remember, you may not remember this, but I was a media personality on the debate panel of your very first debate.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I asked you the tough questions about the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Texarkana.
That was in Texarkana.
Yes, it was.
Texarkana.
Ted Cruz was on the stage with you. Yeah, so I was there when you were just a babe.
Probably February or March of
babe.
2012.
A babe. He was just a baby in the political front. Well, he was
unfortunately, things have changed a lot since those days, as you can tell by the gray in my hair, which my son pointed out the other day. He said, got on my shoulders for a piggyback ride and said, what's the white in your hair, Daddy? I was like, that's my hair, son. But, I recently saw a woman that I met in my first campaign. She said, Senator, back in 2014, I said, you look like you're too young to be a senator.
Yeah.
And she said to me the other day, it's like, you don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
There's some real knowledge behind you. I mean, no, seriously. Do you want to just stay a senator, or do you want to become, head of the Department of Defense someday?
No, Dave, come on. You're engaged in idle Washington chatter. Now, I'm very blessed to be representing such a wonderful state and wonderful people.
Well, I like you to be Defense Secretary. I think you'd be a great one.
Well, we have a pretty good one now. Mark. I've known Mark Esper for a long time, and Mark served honorably. Served in the first Gulf War. Served 20 years when you combine active and reserve service. So we've got a good Secretary of Defense. We've got a good Secretary of State.
All right, lots of talk about you on the internet. So I'm going to let you clear it all up. Tell us what you're thinking about red flag laws.
Well, I think if we're going to adopt a law like that, which I think our state legislature ought to consider, it ought to be for our state legislature to do. My understanding, based on conversations with Senator Graham and Senator McConnell, is that what Senator Graham would propose is the kind of funding and assistance laws that the Department of Justice already has in a lot of other areas, like drug trafficking, for example. It's beyond the scope and beyond the right authorities of federal law enforcement to try to solve every problem that we have in our communities. But if our state legislature thinks that we should adopt a red flag law that allows due process after notice and a hearing and protects the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens, then I think that we ought to take a look at the Department of Justice providing the same kinds of technical assistance and funding that they do in so many other areas of law enforcement.
Okay. Well, the governor's been pretty straight as far as the way that he rocks down the middle, typically, because he's really good at not pissing people off. But the bottom line is that he said if there's not due process, that he wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there has to be due process, and there has to be penalties for any kind of abuse. You can't just have an angry neighbor or an angry ex-husband or ex-wife. making false accusations. But if you look at the fact pattern in Dayton, this young man apparently had a rape list and a kill list that his teachers or principals discovered of classmates that he wanted to rape or kill.
Right.
That should have been a hint.
By some accounts, there was a young woman who went on a date with him, and on the very first date, he showed her a video on his phone of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. I assume that was the only date.
Yeah, she said it was his.
But and that's a common fact pattern in a lot of these shootings is young, alienated, angry, mentally disturbed young men. And rather than do what some of the Democrats want to do, which is immediately try to take away the guns of law-abiding citizens or harass, a corporate citizen like Walmart into not selling guns to law-abiding citizens anymore, we ought to look at those common fact patterns. And as the president said, if you're mentally disturbed and there's clear evidence of that, and you can go to a judge and you can have notice in a hearing and due process, then someone who's mentally disturbed like that ought not to have access to a firearm, at least until they can be seen by mental health professional and be treated if necessary.
Well, there are Democrats that think you're mentally disturbed, and I'm mentally disturbed because we're Republicans.
But that's why I say for any kind of false accusation, there should be serious penalties. You can have that today. It's not common, but it's called swatting. When people will call the police department and falsely report that someone has a gun and is about to kill their family or kill their neighbors. It's a very dangerous situation when you have a SWAT team show up to a situation like that, and it turns out that it's just someone with a grudge or an axe to grind or someone who wanted to cause a scene. There are severe penalties for that, just like there should be severe penalties for making false reports about anyone.
All right, we got 1 minute. RD, hurry.
Well, I'm a member of the local crime watch in my community, and the sheriff shows up and says, right now, currently, if anybody is showing any bad behavior or acting strange, that currently they'll go investigate right now. So my only two comments is, I don't think due process was followed whenever the Russian investigation was started. I don't think due process was followed in that. And it's really scary to me to give the government the power to take somebody's guns away, before they commit a crime. After we've seen, like the IRS and the Tea Party, sometimes, government offices can be politicized.
Yeah, I understand that. And I hear that a lot from people around Arkansas. And that's one reason why I say it's not just beyond the abilities of the federal government, but it's really beyond the proper scope to do so as well, as opposed to have the accountability we have through mayors for police, through police chiefs and sheriffs who are elected, and local judges who are elected as well.
I have the power. Thank you very much, Senator.
Happy anniversary.
I knew you had just a minute or two, but I appreciate you coming by.
Well, I'm glad I was able to stop by and wish you
much.
happy anniversary.
It's good to see you again.
Good to be on with you.
All right. Come, don't be a stranger.
Won't be.
All right. Thank you much.
101.1 FM.